Hello, everybody. My name is Peter Renwick from Follow Your Bliss Life Coaching, and I wanted to talk to you today about the wisdom and peace that can be found in nature. And so I thought it would be appropriate for me to come out here to one of my favorite places right next to a stream to talk a little bit about what it means to me to get out into nature, the benefits that I get as a result of finding that time, making that time, and the way it helps me in my everyday situation. And sometimes that involves overcoming challenges, and that will always be a theme for me in these talks. In some way or another, I'll talk about the benefit of what I'm talking about in overcoming challenge. So, out here in this little slice of wilderness, um, I'm reminded that there is an inexhaustible source of wisdom, beauty, and spirituality that is all around me whenever I come out and I find some way to get to an isolated place. And it's always a place that I feel like I'm home. I think that's an important piece for me, is that when I make the time and I get out and I commit to quieting my mind and exercising in nature, I always feel like I'm connected. And of course, when you feel like you're connected to something greater, then that's going to be a real benefit to you in your emotional state. So I think the calm of nature also always helps me to be able to be reflective, to be able to look inside, see what feelings I'm having, really understand those feelings in a quiet place and process them, and then work through them. And that's really, the end goal. Very often when we're doing these reflective practices, is to identify them, understand what they are, and then work through them and do so in a way that best suits your emotional well-being. So one of the people that really talked about this a lot was Henry David Thoreau, and there's a couple of great quotes that I'd like to share with you. He's a great naturalist, of course, wrote on Walden Pond, and he really expressed the benefit of being in nature as I'm doing today, and he, of course, did it to a much larger extreme. But one of the great quotes that I have of his is that by being in nature, it provides an openness to change, growth, and new perspectives that bring about a higher plane or awareness and understanding. And again, that's really the key that we do so often. The purpose of our activities and our spiritual exercises and meditations is to really be able to be open to change, to the things that are happening to us, to be able to provide a level of acceptance. And of course, so often acceptance is the key, because whenever we resist, we create more turmoil or more chaos. So what Thoreau is saying is that being in nature, we are more prone to change, just recognizing change. We see it in the natural world, growth, just being observant of what's happening around you, especially in the springtime, to recognize new growth and to see that that's coming about. And that brings about a higher level of awareness and understanding. And in fact, he called this, these walks in the woods that he had were gateways to heaven, and things that we could not fully understand. And that's really recognizable and often desirable in mankind. We like to understand things, but I think we also like to know that there's mystery and there's the things that cannot be fully explained. And sometimes you just have to go and experience those things and have them, touch you, but not be something that you intellectually understand. So I think that's in large part what he was saying is we grow, we change, we're able to experience a higher plane of understanding and spirituality, but we also experience the magical or the mystical and the unexplainable, and that fulfills a different part of our desires and the way that we want to experience the world, and it happens in such a great place in the natural world, in nature. So he also believes that there's a synthesis of understanding that comes about between the reality and the symbolism of nature, and that nature takes a place in our minds and an understanding through nature through flashes of intuition, inspiration, and imagination. So again, some of the things that we constantly try and do on a daily basis with our exercises, our mental exercises, meditations, we want to have these flashes of intuition, of inspiration. We want to know that we can see the world in an imaginative way. And what he's saying, and what I believe in my heart, is there's no better place than to get out and do that in a walk in the woods. So we constantly see nature's vitality if we're aware, we're conscious, we're in the moment. All of those topics of raising awareness, of being in the moment, they're all probably future talks of things that I'm going to, really elaborate on. They would be much more than I would want to go into now. But what I'm expressing is that you get greater benefit, and it's often easier to be mindful when you're in the woods and you're conscious of looking around and seeing new growth, and really holding your head up and seeing the way that trees grow, and that soil is created from fallen trees. All of those things are very enlightening and really exciting to see, and spark imagination, because it is at our core. We come from the wild, and now we live in a very different world in society. So really embrace the benefits of being out in the wild. And then I love that he talks about the benefits that the nature brings in bringing about a new day. Every new day that you can kind of step out and have your own experience in the wild brings a new freshness, a new opportunity for understanding. So he did this, of course, when he lived on Walden Pond for a year. What I advocate is that you do this, a couple times a week, and really dedicate yourself to being mindful in that time in nature. And he finally says, for Thoreau, openness to taking new perspectives is essential to individual change. And when you are open, when you can see the ways of the wilderness, and you're open to seeing things differently, then change will come about. And change is what we are about. So how do you want to bring about that change? What's going to facilitate that change? And then finally, I just have to reference one of my favorite people. I quote him all the time, is Ralph Waldo Emerson. And he was also a transcendentalist, as was Thoreau. And he spent a lot of time in nature, and he wrote about nature. And finally, he says, in the presence of nature, a wild delight runs through the man, in spite of real sorrows. Nature says, he shall be glad with you. And so much of our experience in the world is grounded, if you will, in sorrow, in the pain of change, the pain of transition, the pain of loss, the pain of non-acceptance. And what Emerson is saying is, get out there into nature and know that nature will embrace you. You won't be judged. You will be far less likely to judge yourself if you can get out and enjoy the wild and enjoy nature. So I really hope that this was meaningful for you. It was fun to be out here and give this a shot. You can learn more about life, Follow Your Bliss life coaching at followyourblисslc.com. And I hope to have you come back and watch some other videos. So again, beautiful spot here, very cool location. I am blessed. I hope you are blessed too.